Well, it's hard to believe it, but it's been one full year since the last E3. Time really does fly. We're just a couple hours away from the first really big presentation. But anyways, grab the popcorn, fellow gamers. Get ready for the trailers, the world premieres, the cringe compilations, and, most importantly, a bunch of new amazing games to play in the coming year. We've got lots to look forward to. From PlayStation and Xbox, we've got games like... Okay, but surely Nintendo has something other than Pokemon and Zelda for us. Some real surprises, I mean. Oh! Surely after all these years it's time to release Metroid Oh, right. That happened. Oh, and what about Ubisoft? Oh? Skull and Bones was delayed and there's no Assassin's Creed this year? Okay, so maybe E3 this year isn't as straightforward as I thought it would be. I mean, we're on the edge of hopping into a new generation of consoles, and we don't have much on the horizon for the current generation. So, what can we expect really? Will we get new consoles this year? Does Nintendo still have more surprises? Or are we just getting more details on already announced titles? E3 this year is set to be either one of the best or worst years in terms of exciting announcements. But really, it's still quite cryptic. Will we be able to decipher the secrets of the industry? Probably not, but without further ado, here's my E3 2019 predictions video. Hello everybody, my name is Skullkid, and today we're talking about my moderately wild E3 predictions. We've got lots to get into today as I'll be looking at all the major companies present at the show this year. Anyways, I won't waste any more of your time, let's just get speculating. Really quick though, if you're new here and you're new to the channel, I've been doing this gaming discussion video series for a while now, so if what you see here or in my growing backlog of videos interests you, consider subscribing to Skullkid Gaming. I've got big videos planned for the summer as well as a bunch of Mario Maker 2 live streams and coverage coming up, so stick around for that by joining this small, lovely gaming community. Now let's kick things off with the king of gaming himself. Let's talk about the big N, Nintendo. Now, even if their lineup was weak for the first half of the year, the second half is potentially looking jam-packed, maybe even a bit too much. Oh, and by the way, as I'm talking about many different companies and conferences, I think I'm going to put timestamps right at the bottom here so that you can skip forward to whatever presentation or prediction you're interested in. Check that right there on screen or in the description, I don't know. Let's start by getting some things out of the way before I get to the real juicy predictions. These are things I definitely think we'll see in their E3 Direct, but it's probably not going to be a huge focus, or at least it could be, but of course there are other predictions that will probably top it. Anyways, first off, I think we're gonna hear about Mario Maker 2, just kind of a final reminder, a little more tidbits of info to get us really hyped for that release date, but of course I don't think it's gonna be a huge focus in the presentation. Next up, we're probably gonna hear about Fire Emblem 3 Houses, and this one is kind of the same thing as Super Mario Maker 2, a little bit of info and then the release date. Honestly, I really hope for a really good trailer, because, I mean, yes, I'm getting the game, but am I really that hyped for it? Not really, so we need to have a little more conviction, especially for people who wouldn't necessarily tend to jump on this game right away. Metroid Prime 4. Obviously, that pretty much got rebooted in its development cycle, so that's pretty much an obvious no-show for this year at E3. Now, talking about Astral Chain, we're definitely gonna need a huge chunk of info, if they want my money at least, because other than that initial reveal trailer showing the setting and a bit of the action and a couple Twitter posts, we literally haven't seen anything. And that game is coming out in August, mind you, so I'm expecting a good amount of minutes on that, and if not in the presentation, then in the Nintendo Treehouse after that. And like Astral Chain, Daemon X Machina is kind of the same thing. That game is also coming out sometime this summer. In fact, I wouldn't be that surprised, honestly, if it got delayed, but at the same time we kind of got that beta demo thing, whatever, but we need more info about that, because that's kind of cryptic. Now, the Zelda Link's Awakening remake. Well, I mean, I'm sure we're gonna hear about it, maybe get a release date, because, I mean, it is coming out this year, and I'm pretty confident about that, but, I mean, it's a pretty one-to-one port of the original, so we'll probably just get a reminder, and, who knows, unless they actually have some innovation to show alongside that game, but, let's just play it safe for this one, shall we? Now, I'm recording this video before the Pokemon Direct, which is on June 5th. It's so close to E3 that I'll have no idea what was said, but I'm pretty confident that this is going to be a pretty standard Pokemon game and we're going to get the pretty standard Pokemon info. In terms of Pokemon at E3 though, I think we can really just expect the same thing they did last year with Let's Go. So, you know, they're going to talk about it in the Pokemon Direct, then there's going to be probably nothing in the E3 Direct, and we can probably expect the game to be playable on the show floor, and also probably showcased a fair amount in the Nintendo Treehouse, so that's kind of what I think we can expect for Pokemon. Now, based on the vibes Platinum Games are giving out, I think it's fair to say Bayonetta 3 will be a no-show, and plus they probably wouldn't want to interfere with their other game, Astral Chain, coming out real soon anyways, so that'll probably have to wait till next year. So as you see, Nintendo has quite a bit of games, something that maybe other companies don't have this year. But now that all the pretty straightforward stuff is out of the way, let's get into the real meat of my predictions. Now, let's start off a little bit more moderately. I think we're gonna hear about a big Super Smash Bros. Update in this E3 Direct. I'm pretty sure we're gonna get a new character reveal. I'm not really gonna speculate on who, cause honestly, it could be just about anyone at this point, and speculating would be pretty pointless. But considering that Nintendo said that we're gonna have 5 characters before February of 2020, they kinda just gotta get moving with that roster, so I wouldn't even be that surprised if we get a direct fighter drop right after that Direct. I mean, hey, it would bring up the hype, and I think it's just about the right time frame for it anyways. Now, one major thing that was also missing in Smash Bros. Was the stage builder, and Nintendo brought it in the last major update, and guess what? Other big modes that are missing, Target Smash and Home Run Contest. So I think that we can expect those to also be announced in the next Smash update, and probably some new online mode features to really add more diversity to the online. I think that's definitely possible, and we can expect to see that in the Direct. Now the thing we're probably all waiting for, Animal Crossing for Switch. Now this game is supposed to be launching in 2019, and we still don't know a word about it. We don't even have a real screenshot for the game. So I think this is a big game, and this could potentially be the center of Nintendo's E3 Direct. I don't know what to think about this. I mean, is the game even gonna still release this year? I think so. I want to give faith in Nintendo, and it could definitely be cool to show as the center stage of the Direct. I don't know though. I don't know if Nintendo would do that, because I mean, I feel like Animal Crossing, as much as people like it, there's a huge demographic that would be turned off by seeing it as Nintendo's main focus. I think Nintendo would probably dare to do it nonetheless. But otherwise, if we don't hear about Animal Crossing at this Direct, I think there's major room for concern for this game. So I'm pretty confident we're gonna get the whole spiel about the game. Now, another big game that was announced in a Nintendo Direct a while back is Luigi's Mansion 3. I'm definitely expecting it at E3 because I'm actually expecting this game to release during the fall. Now, I think this could be a very good complement to Animal Crossing as the real big spotlight of the Direct. It kind of fills the gap for the people who wouldn't be into Animal Crossing, and we would really have a nice showcase of the Switch's potential, because it's a really cinematic game, and now it has the amazing potential of the Switch hardware, which is better than the 3DS and the GameCube, all that good stuff. and I think it's totally possible that we would see a gameplay demo on the show floor and by definition on Nintendo Treehouse. So that should definitely be exciting, and I'm looking forward to that the most, honestly, I think. Now let's predict something else out of the blue. I think we're gonna hear about some cool smaller projects, kind of like Town, which is being developed by Game Freak. We're definitely gonna hear about that, and I'm kind of expecting them to announce a couple new eShop reveals. Of course, they're probably gonna showcase a little bit of indie games here at E3, but I'm talking things kind of like Box Boy, where they're like smaller eShop only Nintendo published games. I think we might actually see one or two of those in the Direct. One other thing I think is likely is seeing a Switch system update, and I think that we would probably see this launch right after E3 or in the week after, I don't know. And so who knows, maybe we could get SNES games. That could be cool. That would be a really like type of E3 thing to do. Of course, it's the first E3 where they have online implemented, and so who knows, maybe that would work. That could be really cool. Of course, everyone would be really hyped for that, but honestly, I've kind of given up on that whole Super NES thing. They're probably just never gonna do it, honestly. But I think it would be really nice if they go out of the way and they do online member benefits or like party chat. That would be really nice. They're like half-heartedly making the online on Super Mario Maker 2. Maybe there's something to it, you know? Maybe they just don't want to tell us the full thing. Maybe they're hiding a new independent party chat system. You never know. You never know. Now, I've talked about all of the predictions from games that are already announced, but that we have no idea what could potentially be said about them. Now let's go even deeper. One more layer down. Let's talk about some of my most crazy predictions, the one with no proof or no reason to happen other than I want it, Nintendo. I feel like these predictions still feel like it could be a good time to announce them, and also because, well, Nintendo just likes to throw us some curveballs, and I need to be the first to predict one of them, goddammit. And with little surprise, I'm putting it out there, they're gonna announce Metroid Prime Trilogy. I'm 100% confident on this, absolutely, no doubt about it. It's so clear in my mind. Okay, I have no idea. But yeah, it could be a good year. Metroid Prime 4 in a couple of years, this now, that would be amazing. If it's actually true that they've finished developing that port, yeah, it's a good time, unless they really just want to wait one more year, depends what they have in stock for us, and if they have something like Pikmin 4, for example, maybe they wouldn't need Metroid Prime Trilogy. So anyways, let's talk about Pikmin 4, because I want to talk about Pikmin 4. Please, give us Pikmin 4. Now, I'll be honest here, if they do talk about Pikmin 4, I don't think we can expect this game to come out before a 2020 release at best. Their schedule for 2019 is already really crammed, so they really need to stretch out their games anyways. That's kind of the reason why they also might not talk about it. Of course, I'm saying this assuming that yes, the game is finished, like rumors have said, but if they don't talk about it, like, yeah, I don't know, they said they would focus on 2019, that's like usually never the case, but if they actually do commit to that, then yeah, maybe they would just announce it in a January Direct or something. It feels like a good time to talk about it though, because it feels like everything's kind of laid out for Nintendo this year at E3, and we kinda just need one big hitter, one big surprise. If we don't hear about it by the end of 2019, I'm going to assume the game just never existed and stop believing, because at this point in the Switch's life cycle, I just can't think of a good reason to like postpone a game that is supposedly already done. Lastly, Super Mario Odyssey 2. Now, I don't think this is too unlikely. As some people pointed out, there's never really been DLC for that, so it would make sense that they're developing a new Mario game right away, and honestly, it kind of fits the Super Mario Galaxy timeline of when Galaxy 2 came out. I think it's likely, I think it makes sense, it seems very logical. I don't see why they wouldn't do a Super Mario Odyssey 2 in general. and I feel like it's kind of a good time. At the same time, this feels like something that, kind of like the first one, should come out in, like, the holiday season of 2020, so it is kind of far-fetched. With the Switch, I feel like Nintendo has tried to announce games less in advance compared to, like, the Wii U Breath of the Wild and stuff like that. Now, I think it's fair to say that Nintendo's E3 Direct will feature a good amount of AAA games. However, most of these games I think will just get a really quick callback, because Nintendo's always the last to present, and then we would probably have seen those games in the respective companies' presentations from the days leading to it. Honestly though, there's so much more we could talk about for Nintendo. There are so many games coming out, so many wild backlog games, so many wild ideas Nintendo does, so many games they could potentially release. We could kinda talk about Nintendo forever. Weirdly enough though, it's very unlike Nintendo, but it feels like Nintendo is kind of the only one this year at E3 where we really feel like we know what they're doing. Of course, I'm probably wrong about that, but we practically have no idea what everyone else is doing, it seems like. Okay, show's over, everyone. Wrap it up. We've talked about Nintendo. Okay, we're done. That's all that mattered here, folks. Good night. I hope to see you next E3. Oh, what? There's all these other companies? Do they even matter? Do we talk about them? I mean, honestly, I'm looking forward to a lot of other stuff this year. I'm not only that Nintendo fanboy, that's right, I follow all of gaming here, but let's talk about all the other press conferences, kind of in the order of appearance, and by definition, that means we need to start with EA, who is kind of having their E3 presence around June 8th and 9th. They aren't doing a traditional press conference this year. Instead, they're only doing their EA Play event on the show floor, I think, or in their own building. I didn't kind of check the logistics, because I'm not going to E3, surprise, but, and they're going to be live streaming it, so we can expect some announcements, you know, the typical stuff. They're going to talk about their new sports games iterations. We can probably expect them to talk about all their ongoing multiplayer games, because hey, games as a service, EA is kinda king about that, so, you know, Anthem, Battlefield 5, just little tidbits. That's why they're not doing a huge presentation. They probably don't have huge things to announce this year. The coolest thing, though, that I'm looking forward to is kinda actually, hopefully, learning more details about actual gameplay for Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. That's really kind of all EA seems to be having going for them this year. There isn't too much, but apparently there are rumors of Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare 3 being in the works, so that could be interesting. The first two games were pretty fun. I haven't really played those games for years, but yeah, that could be really cool, and I guess I'm excited for that too. Now, if you were to ask me a couple months ago how I would have made this video, I would have been kind of puzzled, and I still kind of am, I guess, because we have very few leads on upcoming software from other companies. In fact, I was sure a little while ago that this year would be the year where we would see the new hardware pretty much from all across the board. Microsoft, Sony, everyone. I mean, I guess that's kind of like everyone in the industry, but I was convinced. And while PlayStation isn't showing up at E3 and they kind of talked about the PlayStation 5 specs and kind of how it works, I think Microsoft is still gonna seal the deal on June 9th at 1 p.m. Pacific. Yeah, so I think we're gonna be learning about new hardware and kind of the future of gaming in general, and that's why I think Microsoft's presentation is really quite exciting this year. We're gonna hear about technical innovation rather than games. Now, last year they've talked about Project xCloud, which is their future of game streaming, where you can stream games everywhere, right? And so I think we're gonna hear the more fully realized consumer level version of that. Maybe even an announcement for registration for beta testing, things like that. Pricing, I don't know, probably not going to be a free service, we don't know, maybe it's going to be tied to Xbox Live. Weirdly enough, I wouldn't be surprised to see Nintendo Switch mentioned in this presentation. the future of gaming seems to be under a unified roof, and it seems like Xbox is advocating for that, and the Nintendo Switch is kind of the perfect console to host xCloud, honestly. Of course, I think we're gonna see the big reveal of their next console. How big? I don't know. Are we gonna hear, oh, Project Scorpio is coming up like we saw in 2017? Or is it gonna be like 2018, where it's like, oh, here's the Xbox One X, you know? Maybe it's just gonna be Project Scarlet, which I think is the name of it. I'm not sure. I'm kind of in a rush to do the research for this. Anyways, who knows how into detail, but we're gonna hear about it, and I think, even though it's hard to know which games we could potentially expect to see at the show this year, we're gonna have follow-ups on games from last year, of course, and I think we're gonna hear a bunch of surprise game releases that would go along with this new hardware. So probably very vague little things and things that won't have a release date and will be told like, oh, either they're coming to both gens or they're coming for future gen. Just a couple days ago, Microsoft's very own Phil Spencer said that they were practicing the show, and surprise, surprise, they apparently have 14 first-party exclusive games to announce at the show. So maybe this presentation is going to be a little more about games than I thought, but I think they're not going to go in much detail. Most of them will probably be for next gen. Nonetheless, I think Microsoft can always fall back on, of course, third-party games. That's why they always go first. They can do some world premieres, but also Gears 5 or Halo Infinite. That should be really interesting. Honestly, Xbox always has one of the most fun, entertaining shows to watch, kind of regardless of whatever they announce. Just because of their style, and they're the first to reveal kind of everything for everyone. That's always really fun. So I'm really excited to tune in to the Xbox conference this Sunday. Now, next up in that whole big E3 weekend is Bethesda, which is presenting on June 9th again at 5:30 p.m. Pacific time. So honestly, Bethesda is kind of a real head-scratcher. They already mentioned that their big projects for the next couple of years, Starfield and Elder Scrolls 6, won't be present at the conference. So honestly, what could Bethesda possibly talk about? Weirdly enough, they're probably going to mention mobile games because they do typically stretch their conferences. One would think though that they have some decent amount of things to show. Otherwise, why wouldn't they just do like Sony and just ditch the E3 in general? I think maybe we can expect some nice little surprises. I mean, for example, like Arcane Studios hasn't really done anything in a while, so can we expect a new Dishonored? Who knows, maybe a couple dormant series will come back. There seems to be good potential. One thing's for sure though, Doom Eternal will probably be the major focus of this presentation. It's a game everyone, and myself included, is really hyped for, and that thing is coming out on Switch. Can we just mention how cool that is? That's pretty cool. Anyways, we're probably going to see a bit of Wolfenstein, as their Youngblood standalone expansion is coming out just a couple weeks after, so, you know, a little bit of last info and maybe a trailer. And last year they announced Wolfenstein Cyberpilot, which is a VR experience, so we're probably going to see a release date for that, I think. Lots of potential for Bethesda, but we don't really know what they can really talk about. Maybe nothing too major to expect here. Who knows, I'm probably all wrong, so let's just move on to Ubisoft. Now, Ubisoft is presenting June 10th, 1 p.m. Pacific time. Now, we know that Ubisoft is usually home to some of the best open world experiences, so there's probably gonna be something cool in here for us to look forward to. But in terms of actual games we can expect, other than the yearly iterations of Just Dance and its weird live performances, Ubisoft might have the potential to be a treasure trove full of unexpected goodies. We pretty much know that Assassin's Creed won't be showing up this year, and I gotta say that's good because I was kind of worrying that they would fall into the whole yearly loop again after Odyssey, although maybe there's not a huge game for them. Maybe they have a good surprise for us, who knows. Now, something interesting. Ubisoft has said that they plan to release 3 new games before March of 2020, and that ain't that far away, so we can probably expect to see all 3 of them at the show. So, Skull and Bones has recently been confirmed to be delayed, so I don't think that's going to be at the show. If it's delayed, it's for a reason. Another thing, hopefully we'll get to see some real gameplay for Beyond Good and Evil 2. We've seen lots of world building, but we haven't seen much real gameplay, and I think we can get a better idea of the release date, maybe not a final release date, but just one step closer to the final product, please. Now, Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Breakpoint is launching this October, so of course we're gonna get more info on that. It's like gonna be a pretty straightforward showcase, so now let's talk about something a little bit more interesting, maybe the star of the show, and that is Splinter Cell. Splinter Cell has been gone for a long time, and well, people are kind of dying to get some more Splinter Cell. And recently we even had a tweet from, I kind of forget who, someone who said he was supposedly working on the next Splinter Cell game, and that was kind of retracted, saying that was a joke and all, but like, what a weird joke to make, let's be honest. I think we can probably expect some Splinter Cell, and that would probably kind of make the show for most people. Now, I'm sure Ubisoft still has a good amount of surprises in stock for us, so let's try to predict the unexpected. Now, in the past couple of years, Ubisoft has had amazing support on Nintendo Switch with many exclusives, like almost one every year, and of course a bunch of ports of like all their main major amazing games. So not only am I kind of expecting them to have the most Switch support here at E3 out of all the multi-platform games coming out, but I think they're going to announce a new Switch exclusive. Maybe we can expect a new IP for it, but I don't think a game featuring more Nintendo characters is out of the question. Maybe they would experiment with something new. Otherwise, I'd really love to see Mario and Rabbids Kingdom Battle 2. I think that would be really exciting, and I don't think it's too unlikely. They have a great foundation from the first game, and honestly there's a really high demand for it. It seems like a nice little time frame to build up a game like that, so maybe in the next 6 months we could expect that. I think we can see it at the show. I feel like we might also see 1 or 2 cool little small indie games, so to speak. I never know how to consider these, but kind of games like Grow Up. It should be pretty fun. I kind of always love these types of games when studios like Ubisoft kind of help small developers in publishing. That's kind of cool. So I hope we're gonna get a neat little experience like that. And maybe we can even expect some sort of like after presentation stealth drop of one of those games. That's also pretty cool. And maybe on Switch, who knows? I'm advocating for the Switch a little too much. And the last major E3 presentation is Square Enix, and honestly, personally, I couldn't be bothered to talk about it. It's not really something that interests me, but just for the sake of really calling it the big, official, amazing E3 predictions video, let's talk about it. Square Enix, June 10th, 6 PM Pacific time. I'm gonna go over it real quick. I will give it to them after doing some research because I'm totally out of their loop. It seems like they might have one of the better presentations on their hands. So apparently they're in charge of this Avengers game, so that has, of course, lots of potential, could be really cool. If it's on the level of the recent Spider-Man game, oh boy, that could be fun. And a couple weeks ago at the PlayStation State of Play video thing, direct wannabe, we heard about Final Fantasy VII Remake for the first time in a very long time, and so that's probably going to be present there. And apparently, Platinum Games is not only making Bayonetta 3, Astral Chain, but apparently they're making this weird game called Babylon's Fall, which I had never heard about, but apparently that's a thing, and being published by Square Enix, so we're gonna hear about that most likely. So yeah, it seems like Square Enix has lots of things to show too. There's lots of things going for them, and it just seems like we have some really solid, I guess, RPG or like really cool action experiences, things we can look forward to from Square Enix. Is it done? What? Really? Did we just manage to make it through 8 full pages of a bullet point script? Did we successfully manage to talk about everything happening at E3 in one single reasonably timed video? Or I hope at least. Huh. Well, there you have it, I guess. My full, comprehensive, thorough, exhaustive, and most importantly, 100% accurate predictions for what we can expect at E3 2019. I hope you're as excited as I am to get watching all the amazing trailers, the awkward stage moments, and awesome gameplay demos we're bound to see in the next couple of days. I'm sure you guys have different hopes and expectations as me for what we can expect at E3, so sound off in the comments section below. Give me your wildest dreams, the prediction that'll have you saying, "I told you so," just after E3. I want to hear it all. Anyways, I'm gonna put a great big list right here on screen of all the E3 presentations and their times. I thought it would be probably a bit useful for you guys if you're watching this before E3. As usual, I'm doing the same thing as the 2 past years since I can't cover E3 during my exam weeks, but I always make this little nice E3 highlights playlist which will be prominently displayed on the channel page, so if you don't have much time yourself and you're kind of just looking for some quick highlight recaps of every major important thing and little snippets from E3, that'll be a nice little playlist featuring videos from my favorite creators and news publications, so check that out if you kind of want to follow E3 along with me. I'll be posting on social media some of my thoughts when I have the time in between study blocks. Anyways, once again, I hope you're looking forward to E3 just as much as I am. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to stick around for lots more discussion videos in the future, as well as some awesome content coming out this summer. I've got lots of amazing things planned. Oh boy, it's gonna be exciting, and I hope you're there for it. It's gonna be great. Anyways guys, as always, thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, consider giving that one a like, it always helps me out. Of course, don't forget to subscribe to Skullkid Gaming for more discussion videos, E3, and all things gaming right here on Skullkid Gaming. Don't forget to check out those videos right up there, I'm sure you'll love them. But with that said, have a great day everybody, and I hope to see you in the next video.